Welcome back. We are working our way through the Convention on Contracts for the International Sale of Goods. We said that the CISG is a contracting system, and a contracting system does three things. It tells us what is a valid contract. It sets out the rules for the formation of a contract. It tells us how do we know when a contract has been performed, or how do we know when the contract is breached. And finally, it provides remedies. And those remedies usually come in the form of damages, monetary damages. So in this lecture, we're going to be looking at damages payable because of the CISG. And we are also going to look at defenses, reasons why a defendant would not have to pay damages even though it had failed to perform. A defense is sort of a legal excuse, a legal explanation of why you don't owe the damages. So we know that the CISG includes provisions for monetary damages. Last time we talked a lot about non-monetary damages. Today we're going to focus on monetary damages, money damages. And the CISG includes provisions for monetary damages for both the buyer and the seller. Now, the party that's claiming damages must prove two things. It must prove the existence of the damages, that I was actually injured by the breach of the contract, and must also prove the amount. How much was I damaged? What was the extent of my damages? And we also have to establish a causal relationship between the damages and the breach. The breach, the failure to perform, must have caused the damages. The CISG also provides defenses for the failure to perform, meaning, yes, I breached the contract, I failed to perform, however, I'm not liable because of a defense. A defense in the law is simply saying everything you say is true, but I'm not liable. So in this lecture, we're going to look at damages and defenses available under the CISG. So what are damages? When we talk about damages, well, recovering damages requires proof of liability for breach of contract and proof of loss. This is another way of stating that in order to recover damages, we must prove that damages exist because of the breach of contract, and here's why, and here's the amount of those damages. The law defines damages as the money claimed by a person as compensation. Damages are meant to compensate the aggrieved party, the non-breaching party, for the harm caused by the breach. And in general, damages equal the sum of money that a wronged person is entitled to receive from the wrongdoer as compensation for the wrong. So if I have a contract to sell you my computer for $500 and I fail to perform, I fail to sell you the computer, which means you've got to go out onto the market and buy a substitute good, a substitute computer, and maybe it costs you $700. My failure to do what I was obligated to do cost you $200. So that's damages. You're entitled to receive the $200 to make you whole. That's going to be adequate compensation. You don't get $500. You don't get the actual computer. Instead, you get the difference between the contract price and the market price, because that's the amount that you were damaged by. In general, we call this an expectation interest. A party is entitled to receive their expectation interest. What the CISG is that a party must be put in as good a position as it would have been in had the contract been performed. So under that analogy that I breach a contract to sell you a computer for $500, what the contract called for was you to give me $500 and me to give you a computer. But instead, you had to go out onto the market and spend $700 to obtain a comparable computer. In order to make you whole, in order to fulfill your expectation, I must pay you $200 because that gives you an effective rate of you spent $500 for a computer. It puts you in the position you would have been in had your expectations been met. Now, in the law, the non-breaching party under the CISG is called the aggrieved party. And we call them the aggrieved party. Don't think of it so much as innocent or guilty. It simply says the party suffering damages, the aggrieved party, the party that did not fail to perform.